Go to the phones. We'll get started with Bob in Myrtle Beach on Grant and Danny. Bob,
Hey,
the
Bob.
Commanders did what people thought they would. What do you make of it?
Well, I tell you, I'm thrilled that they did it. I watched the whole presentation on TV last night, and I tell you, I it was tough when the commissioner came up, and he paused for just a split second, like he was going to say something other than Daniels. And so when he said Daniels, I was thrilled. I was worried that we were going to do something silly and trade down. The thing that I really, really like about Daniels is that, to me, the likelihood of him being a bust is extremely low. I think the 4 quarterbacks taken after him, to me, the chance that they could be busts are much greater than Daniels and the other guy, Caleb, that the Bears got. So I think we made a judgment for the ages, and I think everyone who watched the presentation last night will be saying to themselves for the next 5 or 10 years, hopefully 10 years, I saw that guy when he was drafted, and I was glad that we did it.
I hope so.
Thanks, Bob.
You know, it's interesting.
Interesting perspective there, right?
On the floor. Well, you hear both, right? You hear people say Daniels is the safest, and then you hear the assessment that Daniels is maybe the riskiest, I suppose. I just think if you feel that way, which I kind of do, it's the juxtaposition between the apex and the floor. Like, I don't think you can say there's a chance Jayden Daniels will be a terrible football player. I don't see that. I don't think you could say there's a chance he'll be bad. I think the worst case scenario is he is an electric running quarterback who doesn't make the transition otherwise that you want him to. Kind of like a Fields-ish type player, because the way that he moves, the twitch and the wiggle and just the abilities he's got to pull the ball down with his speed and give him a crease and he turns it into 10, 15, 20. And if there's 15 yards at the point of breaking through the line of scrimmage, he'll get you 40. Like, that doesn't go away early in his career. You saw it in 2012 where Washington designed an offense around, at that time, presently, what Robert Griffin was special at. So I think because of that, the floor is higher for him as a prospect. But I just think if we're talking about the chance to end up being a star, I think there's maybe a better chance with a couple of the other guys in terms of percentage. I think if every one of the players becomes the best version of themselves, only Caleb Williams maybe has a better penthouse.
Right, if everyone reaches 100.
Than Daniels. You know, because if Daniels reaches 100 out of 100, I think he's a better passing Lamar, who's won 2 MVP awards.
And that's kind of my point, because I tend to think of him more of ceiling rather than floor. But I think your point's well seen. And it also kind of depends on what you view as what a bust is. Like, a bust can be someone that doesn't live up to expectations. That's somebody's definition of it. Another guy's, it's got to be Jamarcus Russell. The guy's got to be out of the league before his rookie deal is done, or whatever. I think of it, if you don't come close to meeting expectations and you're on your 3rd team in 3 years, or whatever.
But do you agree with me with the logic? I guess the way I can make my point is with Fields.
No, you're right. He's still a useful player.
Statistically coming out was an incredible passer. Like, if you go back and look at actually any of the analytics on him as a thrower.
That's why I liked him, yeah.
He was really, really good in a lot of those areas coming out. But if you took away his running ability, that's a bust. That's a terrible player. With his running ability, he is a startable quarterback. Now, the league essentially said no this offseason, interestingly enough. But that's a startable player who's hard to defend, and the Bears were a pain in the butt to have to deal with in the second half of the season. So I just think that Daniels' safety net is, if the rest of it doesn't work out or translate, at least I'm a better athlete than almost everyone out here right now, and I can play some hero ball. Let's go to Mo in Largo on G&D. Mo, how you feeling?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call.
So, Mo,
I must say, I've been pro Jayden for months now, and honestly, I would feel a lot more excited if it wasn't for you, Grant. I mean, that display of whatever you want to call it yesterday made me nervous, but I'm happy we got our guy.
Wait, what did I do yesterday?
I don't know if that was yesterday or the day before when you and Danny were going back and forth making cases.
Oh, we did the court case.
The court cases, yeah.
Yes, and you put forward some very valid information that I was unaware of. So, it kind of made me a little bit nervous, enough to the point where I actually emotionally hedged May yesterday, just in case. But I'm glad things worked
Well,
out. And
look,
I'm
Mo,
yeah.
join me in Nervousville, buddy. Okay, I am with you.
Dude, I love him, and I'm terrified.
I've got an apartment in Nervousville, but here's the difference.
Thanks,
I
Mo.
appreciate the phone call. I think people have misunderstood my Daniels feelings all along, right? I try to say this every time, but you hear whatever you want to hear. I have a massive fear that he will not reach his ceiling because of all the reasons we don't need to re-legislate today. Today's a happy day. We've gone over those ad nauseum.
Yeah, we've covered it.
Right? I feel like there's a better chance. Now, I hate where Drake May ended up. Whoever was going to New England, I think, is pretty screwed.
Doomed.
Whether that's McCarthy, Daniels, or May. But I think there's a better chance that those other guys get to their ceiling based on just some of the numbers that I care about diving into collegiately going to the NFL. Having said that, we started the show with this. Are you going to focus on the nerves of what could go wrong or the upside of what could go right? Because if this goes right, only Robert Griffin, and for a split second in 12, you kind of saw where it was headed. That's the only guy who's had this type of potential who's been here at this position. And everybody is hunting for this. A good pocket passing quarterback who can make throws and move the chains like they had in Cousins for a few years is a nice thing that you can win with, and you'll be in every single game every single Sunday. But even when you've got that type of player, you're kind of looking around the league going, that guy's really special. How do I get him? And so the Commanders are taking a big swing. They swung for the fences. People said, "Oh, they hit a home run yesterday." How do we know? The ball could land 10 rows deep. It could also be a ground ball to shortstop or a swing and a miss. We have no idea. They took a massive swing, though. They took a James Wood level swing,
which I love.
And it is hard to fault that at number 2 overall. Let's go to Disco and Laura. What's up, Disco? You're on G&D.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good to talk to you.
You too, buddy.
I'm excited about the pick. I really feel like a quarterback like Jayden Daniels, in today's NFL, he can stress the defense. A quarterback that can throw from the pocket but has his speed. But here's the thing. To me, guys, the draft starts tonight because I want the model that they put in place in San Francisco where I want to resist the urge of looking at Jayden Daniels as the savior. We got this guy, so he's going to be the guy that's going to take us to the next level, whereas they need to build some infrastructure for him to be able to reach that ceiling that we're talking about. So, for example, if the 49ers and the Chiefs, they have an elite something else. The 49ers have an elite running back. They have elite wide receivers. They have an elite linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City has an elite tight end. So to me, I want to resist this urge of thinking, okay, this is the guy, just like Robert Griffin III, that's going to make everything come together. The infrastructure starts tonight and tomorrow, and we need blue chip play. We need elite around him for him to get to his ceiling. Thank you.
Love that call, buddy. Thank you.
I think Disco's on it, right? That's a great phone call. The only thing I would disagree with is the infrastructure doesn't start tonight. It better have started several weeks ago. I think the infrastructure was Austin Eckler catching balls out of the backfield, right? The infrastructure was, let's go get him a tight end who can catch some footballs in Zach Ertz. Let's make sure you got a center who can help him pick some things up pre-snap and work with him on the sideline if he's not seeing it exactly right, because he's never done this before. You spend $10 million on Tyler Biadasz. They are already in the process of the infrastructure. But to his point, let's keep it going now.
Yeah, you're not done by any stretch of the imagination.
You got 36 and 40. One of those picks has got to be someone who helps him in the offensive huddle. I'd love a receiver. I mean, it is hard for me to think about passing up on Lad McConkey or
A.D. Mitchell's there.
Mitchell is the guy that if he's there at 36, how do I pass on A.D. Mitchell? How do I do that?
I'm not doing that.
In good faith.
I'm doing it. I'm taking him.
I got someone on Twitter here. I'm at Grant H. Paulson. Danny's at Funny Danny. They hit me up on X and they said, we already have our 2 wide receivers.
You might.
What are you talking about, friend? You play more than 2 receivers. Everyone's in 11 anyway. That's 3 receivers, 11 personnel. I want 4. You got 4, now I want 5. I got 5, I want 6. They don't have to be wideouts, by the way. I want weapons. That could be tight ends. They've got an aging mid-30s Zach Ertz who's kind of breaking down. Get another weapon at tight end. I would do that in the mid-rounds. The idea that they're going to go into the season with a left tackle situation where Cornelius Lucas might be your starter is unacceptable to me. And I love Adam Peters in this front office. I feel a lot differently about them than I did the last group, but I crushed the last group all offseason when they didn't address the line. And I'll have to do the same if Cornelius Lucas is the starter in week 1. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they might get a guy tonight they like. Maybe they already have a good feel for someone getting cut in a month or two, and they know they can bring that guy in. And
I do feel comfortable that there's a plan. And I think the thing
there better be a plan.
Well, yeah. But the thing I'm comfortable doing is saying just a normal football conversation. In other words, like, hey, I would have done this. They did that. I think that's perfectly fine. People need to understand the difference, by the way, between going, this group is incompetent. Look at this evidence. Look at how overmatched they are. What is going on? There's no plan. This is ridiculous. I feel very comfortable saying they have an idea. They have a plan. I think if the draft had worked their way, and I'm putting that in quotes last night, a move might have been made to get back into the first round to grab one of these tackles. I think they know and are comfortable with their options. I think this group is pretty secure in themselves in that way. But there is a cohesive plan, I think, that makes sense.
The idea, though, that he's not the savior, that he's part of something bigger is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it changes when you get paid that massive contract. When you get the Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, who else has gotten one of these? Jalen Hurts extension, right? When you get that kind of money at the top of the league, well, now more is on your plate. Heavy lies the crown. You could be successful. You're going to have enemies. You could be unsuccessful. You're going to have friends, Frank. Like, it's now I need you to make up for deficiencies because I can't pay you what you want and get everything else. But with Jayden Daniels on a kid contract, making kid money for the next few years, he's got to be a piece of the puzzle. It's the biggest piece. It's the most important piece. If he's not great, you don't have a chance. But if he is great, everything changes. But what a good point by Disco. Let's help him now. Every decision you make from this point moving forward, and I hope it's been this way all offseason already, has to be about how does this help Jayden Daniels be excellent? That's all everyone in the organization should think about every day with every decision they make, most significantly tonight at 36-40 and beyond over the next 2 days. Let's go to Brian in Indian Head over there on 210. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for taking my call. I really love the show. Couple quick points when I get off there. I'm sure you got a lot of callers. I like the fact that he's already comfortable in front of the press, which is almost a huge thing for a rookie quarterback. Just his confidence level is amazing. I like the fact that he's not just a patchwork to a team. They're actually, building a team around him. He's got players that are supportive. He's got coaches. The fact last night when he said about Brendan Ayuk that he talks to him like 3 times a day and he's a big mentor, to get that dude in this locker room would be amazing. And then my last thought is ProFootballNetwork.com had a list of the top 30 visits for the Washington Commanders. And out of the 18 players on that list, there's only 4 off that list, and 3 of them were quarterbacks. So I think this organization, Peters, they've set up a great draft board, and it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Good nugget on the draft visits there. The Ayuk thing is kind of dangling out there. Now, San Francisco has said it's unlikely, but what does that mean?
There's also a report yesterday that they're more likely to trade Debo than Ayuk now. I don't care which one. If they're available, I'm picking up the phone. I'm Adam Peters. I got the number.
Yeah.
Every person I need in San Fran. Speak.